Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Intimacy Evolution. I'm Brianna Carey, and this week is my first solo podcast. Actually, it's my first solo interview. I will be joined by one of my peers from my sex coach certification program, Jenny Heartsong. Jenny and I really connected over the past 20 weeks and have had some beautiful conversations during our time together. I know this certainly won't be the last time. Having her on the show, she is a wealth of information and just a delight to talk with. And we're also in the beginning stage of co-creating a masterclass together. So stay tuned for more info about that in the near future. So let me go ahead and officially introduce our guest for this episode. Jenny is a multi-passionate entrepreneur who loves adventure, is passionate about holistic health, sexuality, and spirituality. She has traveled the world studying alternative ways of living and experiencing life. She supports single, driven women who are disconnected from their feminine nature to connect deeper with their bodies, expand their orgasms, and manifest the relationship of their dreams. This episode definitely felt like a journey with Jenny as she walked us through her upbringing, her experiences with sex, traveling the world solo, navigating healing through pleasure, and how to create a deeper, more intimate connection without the use of substances. I think we really knocked it out of the park with this first interview. I hope you all enjoy it.
And Jenny, if you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to clarify something, and this happens all the time, so absolutely no worries. It's actually Jenny Heartsong.
Heartsong. Did I say Heartsong?
Yeah, a lot of people say it all the time, so don't worry about it. It's okay. It happens often. It happens more times than you realize, and I'm always like, I wonder if I'm supposed to have a strong heart in this lifetime.
I feel like you do, and that maybe is what people are picking up on. So I apologize.
It happens all the time, and people are always like, Heartsong, where'd you get that name from? And that's a good way to introduce myself because I was gifted as a child. I was born to hippie parents, and they weren't married, and they did not know which last name to use for the birth certificate. Mm-hmm. I didn't get my birth certificate until I was 1 year old. So they kind of got in an argument about it. And my dad was just like, put Heartsong on, just put Heartsong on. And so it's been a very interesting ride being in the karmic journey of having a last name that is not my father's or my mother's. It's almost like this reclamation of freedom that I didn't realize until probably about 5 years ago, that I'm not owned by a man. I've never been married, and I'm not owned by my father. And if you think about it, the last name goes down from father to wife to children. And it goes back like really far to ownership of women.
Yeah.
And we don't really think about that. And we don't think about the fact that you can put any name you want on a birth certificate. It's just tradition. And it's just done. And I think we also live in a world in which sex and sexuality is just tradition. Right?
Yes.
And so I think also living in a hippie community kind of brought a very interesting relationship to sex and sexuality. For me. And I know you work with a lot of couples that are working on getting like fertility and pregnancy and things like that, right? Yeah. Postpartum. Yeah. So another interesting fact that I love to share is that my mom had a really bad abortion when she was 23, and she kept getting miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. I think she had like 4 or 5 before me. And then my father got in a really bad accident when he was 17, and he was married for 8 years, didn't use any birth control of any kind. And when they broke up. His ex-wife got pregnant in 6 months. And so he thought he couldn't have children either.
Yeah.
And my mom was kind of like a witchy, wise woman and decided to use herbs and herbalism to get pregnant with me. And so they did. So I believe I have a huge component on different herbs for strengthening and toning the cervix and the uterus and things like that, and using like more holistic thousands of years of lineage to help with the reproductive health, because the doctors told her and him they both couldn't have children. So,
and here you are.
Yeah, and here I am.
Yes, I love that. What a great story.
Yeah. Yeah. So it created a really interesting relationship to sex and sexuality, because I was raised in the hippie community, but when I was 5, my mom found Jesus. And so I grew up in really engulfed in hippie world and free sex and free love, and also really engulfed in religion.
Okay.
And my mom really didn't have any relationships with anyone. So it was kind of like this double story about sex and sexuality, which has been really an interesting journey as well.
Yeah, I would love to delve into that a little bit more, of how that's kind of helped shape your sexual journey and expression and relationships. And
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm really grateful for my mom is that she was always open with me. And anytime I talk to parents, which I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it's like to have a child. And when I do talk to parents who have, preteens or teenagers, I'm always like, just tell them everything. Don't hide. Don't hide sex or sexuality, because she didn't hide it from me. She wasn't having it because she was so obsessed with being a mom and a single parent and taking care of me. Yeah. But she was very open about her past experiences. And she explained to me what sex was. When I got my period, she sat down and had the talk with me, which I'm so grateful for, about like making sure that a man never touches me in a way that I don't feel comfortable with. Making sure I understand what the moon cycle or the period is, which, still is challenging regardless if your mom talks to you or not about it.
Right.
But she also told me some pretty intense stories, like a lot of the drugs she took as a younger hippie mom. And she even told me stories about getting raped. And at a pretty young age, I want to say like 13, 14. And I think that helped me be very vigilant in my actions and my partying as a young age. Just like I was really careful who I partied with, and always watched my glasses, and really was like kind of like
brought more awareness.
Super aware. And because of that, I have to say I've never had any sexual misconduct of any kind. I've never been raped or molested or had any negative experiences around sexuality. And because of that. And I didn't have sex until I was 18, even though it was open and free. I didn't do it until I was ready. So
that's amazing. And I could get on a whole other soapbox about our sexual education in public schools. And the misconception of, if you tell them about it, then they're going to go and do it more. But really it's providing them with knowledge and confidence to make choices that are the best for them, and then respecting those boundaries and consent. And like you said, you were more aware when you were in situations on how to be safe. That's what it's about. So yeah, that's great. I'm not going to keep going on, like really delve into that, but I love that you shared that, because that is exactly what sex education should be providing.
Well, I think also, like, for the people listening, it's not the school's job. I don't think. I think it's the parents' job, really. I mean, I do wish we had a better sexual education, for sure, 100%, but it's kind of taking away your power by pushing it on the school. It's like, as a parent,
Right.
it's our responsibility to sit down and have that uncomfortable conversation.
Right.
Even if it's uncomfortable, it's like, you can make it fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it shocks me that, honestly, that parents expect the school to do that. Like, whenever I have conversations with parents about it, I'm like, why are you expecting a school to teach your kid about something that's very, very important, sexual
Mm-hmm.
education? But maybe it's because they don't have sexual education.
Exactly. It's because it's been for so long, it's been we just don't talk about it type thing. So then, it just keeps getting passed on generation to generation of this. I mean, yeah, since nobody was taught, parents aren't talking about it, then there's just going to continue to be this lack. Even though there is a lot of information out there, there are tools and resources for parents, but also they have to want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think when you say like, oh, I talk to my kids about sex, they think they're perpetuating that it's okay to go do that. And I don't know what I'm trying to.
Well, it was the opposite for me. I mean, my mom talked to me about sex, and I remember I was actually homeschooled until I was 14. So that kind of helped, I think. But I remember when I went to school, all the kids were kind of like, what? You haven't done this, and what? You haven't done that. And I just owned it. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on.
Right.
And if guys like pressured me to do stuff, I would say, no, get your hands off me and walk away. And I was able to use my voice. And in that, I've traveled the world by myself. I've been to India alone for 2 months. I traveled all through Thailand for 6 months alone. I moved to Mexico twice by myself. I lived in Israel for a year. I've lived in countries and places in which sex is scary for women to travel alone. And I just use my voice. I've used my voice and I've said no very strongly and very confidently. And men aren't used to that. And especially in this country, men aren't used to that. And in other cultures, it's even more shocking. And they respect it. They do, but they're just not used to it, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I feel like need to bring more awareness to, and empowering women to use their voice.
That's that's what I want to work on. That is what I'm working on, is in kind of my service, is helping women, claim their no and claim their yes. Like, what is it that turns them on? What is it that they love? What are they like really into? Because at the same time, women aren't taught that they're sexual creatures. For thousands and thousands of years. I don't know how long exactly, but like, it's not okay to be a sexual creature. And even though I actually waited until prom night with my high school sweetheart, he was a virgin and I was a virgin, and we were very in love. And it was such a beautiful experience. Lasted like 2 seconds, but we had lots of practice afterwards.
Yeah.
But like, I think I've had a journey of like claiming ownership of my desire, because I started with such a healthy relationship to sex, that I've always been very orgasmic. And I think personally, in my opinion, and if anyone's listening, please don't get offended, I think that every single woman is a completely multi-orgasmic being. They just have layers of trauma they haven't released yet. I think every woman on the planet can have a cervical orgasm, a G-spot orgasm, a clitoral orgasm, multiple orgasms. There's just a lot of sexual development work and self-work that's going to take to get there. And it could take a whole lifetime.
Yeah. I literally just typed down as you were talking about that. I was like, is something that's holding women back from experiencing orgasms and pleasure, shame, or limiting beliefs about, again, not being a sexual creature, and embracing that. So I love that you touched on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's also like, we also store a lot of trauma, even if it's not sexual trauma, but if it's like just emotional, mental, spiritual, all sorts of trauma. I think women have a tendency to store in our cervixes.
Mm-hmm.
and our vaginas and the vaginal wall, because it's all muscles down there. And that's kind of the root of where we are, right? It's like in between the root chakra and the sacral chakra. And that's the basic foundational human, like animalistic, energetic space hangs out down there. And if we don't intentionally use self-pleasure practices or breath work practices to move that stuck energy, it gets so stuck that, women even manifest, I don't know the technical term, I should, since I'm becoming a sex coach, but when like the vagina clamps up.
Vaginismus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's even to that level of trauma that, is pretty profound that the body responds that way.
Yeah. Well, and I want to touch on that real quick because this is something that's been coming up a lot more as I've been working with women, that we have this misconception that pelvic floor therapy is to help, quote unquote, with loose vaginas or loose pelvic floor. When actually, well, because, we talk about incontinence. If you laugh and pee, cough and pee, you have that, right? So they think there's this weakness in that muscle. But what is really happening is there is so much tension in the pelvic floor that is actually what is causing a lot of hip, lower back pain, again, pain with sex. And that's because the muscle is too tight from all of that tension that is stored in there. And so what happens when something is very tight all the time, if you add even more pressure, like a cough or a sneeze, that muscle can't hold it any longer, and it's fatigued and it will release. And so that is something that can absolutely be, obviously seek out help from a pelvic floor therapist, but also, breath work and, healing can help release that tension as well.
I have to say, getting a yoni massage completely transformed my whole life and my whole sexual journey.
Can you observe that?
Yeah.
What is it? And then also, how did that help?
Yeah. About 10 years ago, it's been a little over 10 years now, I lost my mom to breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And I decided to take on grieving as a full-time job for 2 years. So I traveled through Asia with the intention of healing. And I was in this detox retreat, and I didn't know that emotions get stored in the body as specifically as I do now, but I had a lot of emotions stored in my colon. And so when you do a detox, you can release those emotions, like a lot of anger and guilt gets stored in the colon. Okay. So I was in this 7-day intense like detox. I mean, it was like we were doing no food or water. There's coconut water, but no food for 7 days and like 2 colonics a day. It was insane. And all of this pain, my stomach cramped up so bad at one point, so bad. I was hysterically sobbing. Like I could barely breathe. I was hyperventilating. I was in so much pain. And the owner of the center, who was a man, he was like, I got to take, help this woman. So he picked me up and brought me into a treatment room, like a massage room. And he started asked me if he could massage my stomach because I was cramping so bad. I was like, whatever is going to help me get out of this pain. This is whatever. So he massaged my stomach and he pulled out this little like pamphlet that was all about like stomach massage and the benefits of stomach massage. Because stomach massage can be very intimate and like vulnerable because most people don't get massaged there. And, he was helping the colon move. And then he pulled out a little pamphlet like a few minutes later that had information about a yoni massage. And yoni in Sanskrit is vagina or vulva. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's vulva, which is the whole package.
Yeah.
But he was talking to me about it. He said, I think that this pain could be released if you allowed me to massage your yoni, which is he was offering to massage the inside of my vagina.
Mm-hmm.
And my brain didn't have the opportunity to say no at that moment, which is probably not the best thing, but thank God it worked out well. And so it wasn't sexual. He kept his clothes on. I actually kept checking to see if he had a boner or not, because I was like, what is going on here? And he was so intentional. It was the first time I experienced a man put his fingers inside me without the desire to get me off and with intentionality. And he just kind of took two fingers and started rubbing the inside and finding the muscles and like working his way from the base, like the bottom of my vagina. And then he started to work up. And it wasn't like this like finger fuck or finger bang.
Yeah.
He just kind of literally felt like a massage, like you'd get a shoulder massage or neck massage. He was doing that inside. And I thank him so much because I didn't even know at that moment. My conscious brain had no idea that a cervical orgasm could exist. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I had one from the experience.
Wow.
And it was the least sexual experience I've ever had because there was no foreplay. There was no.
Or in an aroused state.
I wasn't in an aroused state. I was in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
He didn't touch me anywhere else on my body in a sexual way. And he basically took like 30 or 40 minutes to work himself up to my cervix. And when my cervix released the energy, I literally had energy shoot through my whole body, out my fingertips and out the top of my head, like rays of energetic beams of light. And all the pain in my stomach went away. And I released the grief in that moment. And then I got obsessed with cervical orgasms.
Right. How can I do more of those and make it feel really good?
Yeah, no, it was really a powerful experience and really healing, so healing. And he offered, if you ever need it again, you're welcome to come back, because I was there for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I did go back, and I had this whole expectation that it was going to be another mind-blowing experience. And it wasn't. It was just kind of a neutral massage. Like I didn't have another cervical orgasm.
Yeah.
But it really helped me understand what my body was capable of. And also helped me understand how potent massaging the inside is. It's really important, I think.
I think it often gets neglected. We think it's just used for sex. And, that's the part of us. Just like you said, we would go, and if we have, tension in our shoulders, or if we need a full body massage, or, anything like that, we need to be more attentive to our vagina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I was talking to my boyfriend about this the other day, because I was saying, hey, like it's socially sort of like, it's got a stigma, don't get me wrong, but it's socially talked about and socially sort of accepted for a man to get a happy ending during a massage.
Right.
But you never hear about a woman getting a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something like when I lived in Thailand, I would get massages all the time. There's like $7 for an hour massage. Amazing. And all the men would talk about, oh God, I get molested all the time by the massage therapist, because they're trying to give the guy a boner so that they can then offer a hand job, because they get $20 for a hand job versus $7 for a massage. Yeah. And I think it's a great offering.
Yeah.
I think it should be totally accepted and totally okay.
Yeah, like you said, there's such a stigma about it. And why?
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool if that was accepted. I think maybe we'd have like less rape or molestation, or if men were, that was normalized to have that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I feel like that could be a whole other conversation, talking about, sex work and how it, we need to remove the stigma from that. So,
yeah. I've actually been thinking lately about potentially getting trained to do pelvic floor massages, because I would think it's kind of empowering to be able to offer that service to a woman. I texted my best friend. She's a midwife. And I texted her the other day. I was like, do you ever like find it weird putting your hand in women's vaginas all the time? And she texted me back. She was like, I don't even think about it. I do it so often.
Right. Yeah. It's just part of the job. Like it just, no big deal.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, interesting. I wonder if I could ever get to that place.
Yeah. Well, or just showing women how to do that themselves, how to get comfortable, familiar with their body, and massaging themselves, not for pleasure, but for just maintenance,
For health.
For health. Exactly.
It's kind of hard to do on yourself with your own fingers. So I actually do it with a crystal wand pretty regularly. So I put like a really nice oil on my wand. I use this one Damiana infused intimacy oil that I call it sex perfume because it smells amazing. And then I just kind of put it on my heart and like say a little prayer with the crystal wand. And then I'll use it as a massage, like not with the intention of turning myself on, which can happen, but I'll do it. Like I'll massage the inside walls and like remove tension. And I mean, I have no sexual trauma and I have to do it regularly to release stress and tension. So I feel, but some women aren't ready to have a crystal wand put in them.
Right.
Especially if you've had a baby lately. That can be almost traumatic.
Right. Well, and that's something else that, my path has taken me on, is talking about how to support women more fully postpartum, and what does that aftercare look like, to get reacquainted with your body, to help any sort of, release trauma and pain or scar tissue from tearing or anything like that. Getting connected to oneself. So then that way you can start connecting with your partner again. And so I feel like crystal wands would be a great tool to start implementing, and that could be part of that. So I think we'll definitely have to have you back on here to talk about more, more of that.
Do you ever find yourself caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that you can't remember the last time you and your partner had sexy time, or that you enjoyed a solo pleasure session? Maybe you have thoughts like, I don't really care if we even have sex. First, I want to say that you're not alone. I get it. Life can be rather exhausting, and sometimes sex is the furthest thing from your mind. But really, it's something you need to make time for, just like you do everything else. Not just because you deserve to feel good, but orgasms provide so many amazing health benefits that could help alleviate a lot of the stress and other struggles you might have. Easier said than done, right? This is where I can help. I'm offering an 8-week program for women that are ready to reclaim their desire. It starts August 10th. Check out the show notes for the link. I hope to see you there.
Can we go back to the cervix real quick? I know you're more familiar and educated on it. I'm working on getting more educated on the cervix. I know it actually is connected to, I've heard Bren talk about this. It's connected to some sort of, isn't it connected to the heart?
I believe so. When I have a cervical orgasm, you have to be careful with cervical orgasms. Don't play around with just random randos, because it blasts the heart open. Yeah. I've had my heart broken pretty profound ways by men who I wasn't as committed as I would have liked to be able to go into that world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually, interesting enough. So I was living in Thailand. This is years ago. This is 2013. I was living in Thailand. I had this yoni massage and I was dating this guy. I was like madly head over heels on an island in paradise. It was amazing. And we were both studying Tantra. And both of us were pretty new at it. So we wanted to practice. And I told him about this yoni massage. I was dating him when this happened. And so we started to practice. And the interesting fact, well, first off, I should have clarified boundaries and desires and consent with him beforehand, because it's pretty powerful work. But what happens is when the cervix is about to have an orgasm or a release of energy, it heats up potently, like really, really hot. And it's really hard for men to not ejaculate during that. It's like, it's almost like an instant one. So it takes a guy who's really in control of his ejaculation to be able to hold space for a woman. So it usually takes a man who has a consistent practice with withholding ejaculation, which is a whole thing that I don't have a penis. I don't know how to do it. I know it's got to be done. But yeah, it explodes the heart open to a whole nother level. And I got heartbroken from that guy so much that that was the worst, aka kind of the best, because it was the most profound heartbreak of my life, because I was playing in that world of tantra. I didn't sleep for 2 days and I lost 10 pounds and didn't eat in 2 days.
Yeah.
That's how heartbroken I was. So be careful. Cervical orgasms you got to make sure you're with a committed partner, somebody who's not going to screw. He cheated on me. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But oh my gosh, you're so experiences and it's just beautiful. I love that you are just sharing so openly. Yeah. So now where you are in life is helping women to explore, to delve deeper into themselves, like you said, and being empowered in their no's and their yeses. So what has led you, and I know you had mentioned that you are helping to remove blocked energy and, doing it without substances and being more intentional with lovemaking and connection. So how are you kind of?
Well, I've been around in the quote unquote conscious community and conscious communities all over the world for the last, I don't know, forever. Because I grew up in the hippie community. And so there's something that I hear very, very regularly on a consistent basis, that there's no good men out there left. There's no conscious men. There's no men doing the work. Women are so much more evolved. Look around. There's more women's circles. There's more women in personal development and personal growth. And we're all the good men. Come on, men, get your shit together. Get your act together. What the fuck? What's your problem? And it's very belittling. And I hear it a lot. And I see a lot of powerful, independent, strong, boss babe women who their hearts are so yearning for a soul partner.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of bitterness and resentment and anger towards men. And somehow, I don't know how, I think it's because I've really been committed to doing the work since my mom died, because I saw her be a single woman for my whole life, resentful and angry at men, and yet also yearning for men at the same time. It's pretty common in the conscious hippie community, honestly. You see it more than not. I'm always in awe when I see a conscious couple. That's one of the reasons I was so drawn to Alexa and Jordan.
Yes.
So that's our teachers, by the way. I should have turned my Alexa off. Yeah, so that's really what I want to work with, is women who want to touch deeper into their desires and their feminine embodiment, and to release that resistance and anger to men, and be able to own who they are as women, and know that there are good men out there. There's so many out there, and they are doing the work. They're just maybe not in your face, or if you're like, I'm going to be honest here, like if you're sitting around bitching about where all the good men are, and you're not going to find them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, if you're putting that energy out there that they're not out there, then you're not going to find them.
Mm-mm.
So you have to.
And I found mine in the hot tub at my uncle's apartment complex.
You never know.
And he's not part of the conscious community, but he is a very conscious man, and he has been doing the work, and he's continuously doing the work. And he's not part of this big, like, spiritual crew. He's kind of hiding away. He was kind of hiding away behind his computer as a programmer, doing his own spiritual evolution, and not out there where most women think they can find a conscious man. So
yeah, you never know where they're going to be, but you have to be an energetic match to find them. So if you're doing the work and you're putting out there that you are wanting to have this healthy relationship, it will find you.
Exactly. Totally. So, but going back to the piece about the sexuality. So in my life, I've used cannabis quite often, pretty regularly. I've also drank in the past on and off, and used a lot of party drugs and medicine work. I've done a lot of medicine work as well. Quote unquote, medicine is the word we use for substances that are like mushrooms or ayahuasca or peyote that are come from the earth. They've been used for thousands and thousands of years by people that you wouldn't want to take at a party. I don't take mushrooms at parties. That's just me. But and recently in my this current relationship, I realized that I've used substances pretty dramatically in my sex life to have orgasms or to get in my body, especially cannabis. It's a quote unquote medicine. I live in California, and there's a dispensary every other block. Or you can get it delivered on an app these days, which is wild.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can get cannabis delivered to your door.
Okay.
I've used substances and alcohol. I mean, it's hugely common. We live in a world in which it's very normal to be able to have sex. You go to a bar and you get drunk and you meet somebody and you go home and you bang their brains out, and you may or may not know their name.
Yeah.
And then women have the walk of shame the next day, and men have this, oh, I got laid.
Exactly.
But like 0% presence, none. Maybe not even like, if you don't, like I did that for years. It was fun. I had a great time. I have no negative perspective of that. As long as you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself, you're not hurting yourself or others, have whatever sex you want.
Yeah.
But I found myself relying on these substances to be able to relax and get into my body and disconnect and to have orgasmic experiences. And I relied on it a little bit too much, but I think we do as a culture. Alcohol is like the number one that I can think of. It's like
so acceptable. Anytime you're feeling,
you have like a glass of wine before having sex, or like
that is
to
literally
relax.
what was told to me when I was about 2 months postpartum, still having pain with sex, and my midwife, of all people, was like, have a couple glasses of wine and use lots of lubrication to make sure you're relaxed. And I'm like, that is an atrocious recommendation. Like, no. So yeah, it is literally basically quote unquote prescribed to have a drink to relax instead of doing work to be present in your body. And I find that a lot. I just feel like people in general are so disconnected from their bodies.
100%. And I am, and I do this work all the time. I'm constantly having to reconnect. I've been doing yoga for 10 years. I'm obsessed with eating nutrition. I've done tons of body work. I've had hundreds of massages. I've done tantra work and breath work for years, and I'm still disconnected from my body. Like, it is a daily, consistent lifelong committed practice to stay in the body.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it's worth it.
So worth it. So
yeah, it's powerful.
This journey now to not use substances. And
yes, I'm on it. Currently, my partner and I are on a 30-day no substance detox at the moment. Except for he's quitting smoking. So he's from Egypt. And in Egypt, it's very, well, the way we consume alcohol, they consume cigarettes.
Yeah.
Which is, they're both addicting in their own ways. Yep. So he's doing, like, he started for the first week was 2 cigarettes a day, second week 1 cigarette a day, third week half a cigarette a day, and fourth week none. Yeah. And then I'm allowed to do hippie if I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed, because that gets me back into my body. I've only done it once in the last 2.5 weeks, but it's, and for those of you who don't know what hippie is, it is a ancient South American tradition that's you kind of blow up your nose, and it really brings me back into my body for a few minutes. So that's why. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yep, you're good.
So I have that option if I need it, but besides that, no, nothing. Yeah. And I actually was having a really hard time with this last night. I really wanted to drink some wine and I really wanted to get stoned. But I just vocalized it and didn't. So,
yeah, well, good.
Yeah.
Kind of some accountability. Yeah.
It's hard to be deeply intimate and soul connected and have deep, profound orgasms while sober.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. Do you want to
that's something
touch on why, like what makes it difficult? Is it more for you, or is it something you've noticed with women in general or people in general?
Well, I think it's going back to the use of alcohol. And then also in my past, currently I'm in a monogamous relationship, but in my past I've been in open relationships, and I've gone to some sex parties and stuff. Mm-hmm. And before everyone that I've gone to, before we begin, everyone sits around and quote unquote partakes in the medicine, which is usually Molly or GHB, which kind of like releases you to your inhibitions and has you dive deeper into your body and your orgasmic energy, but it's still using a substance. I really think that we as a culture rely on substances to be able to deeply connect to our bodies sexually. Yeah. And also to our partners. I mean, even eye contact during sex can be really, really intimate and overwhelming. Yeah. And I remember the first time I had a partner require that I look into his eyes when I was having an orgasm. And that was overwhelming.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah, it's really intense and scary. And if you're sober on top of that, that's like a whole nother level.
Yeah, feeling the feels. Like suppressing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think when you're sober having a sexual experience, it can bring things up. I think substances numb your emotions a little bit.
Okay.
Because sex can be very disruptive. This is a word. And it can bring up a lot of wounds. Yeah. And I think that we use substances, I have for sure, to disconnect from those intense emotions while experiencing deep levels of pleasure.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. I'm just reflecting because I've never experienced, I haven't done any substances besides, going out a night of drinking or anything like that. And I don't do that much anymore. And so just being aware of where others can be or what they're using this for is helpful for me to know. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, because I don't have that experience.
Yeah, I've also not been in like a really long-term relationship. I'm 33 and I've had a lot of short-term relationships. I think that's kind of more, you've been married for quite a while now, right?
Yeah. 11
So
years,
I think,
the other 15. So
yeah,
it's
but
wild.
that's incredible. That's amazing. And I'm sure there's married couples who have to have a drink before having sex.
Yes, totally.
So it may or may not be like, or haven't dived that deep intimately yet.
Exactly.
Even if they've been together for a long period of time.
Yeah, it can still be very surface level because, again, we're not taught, or it's not as common to talk about consciousness, awareness, or the deep connection. It is, okay, you're married, you have sex, you have kids maybe if you want to, you don't. But then there's always like, if you're not connecting, then what is there? So I feel like sometimes relationships are just very surface level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And it's scary to go deep emotionally. Yeah. It's scary to let somebody into your heart profoundly.
And being so vulnerable.
Because they could hurt you.
Yeah. So everybody's always, not everybody, but people can be guarded and, trying to protect. But I feel like you miss out on a lot by not opening yourself up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, that's my practice right now, is doing the deep dive intimately. So like my partner and I, we're very, very, very intimate and really, really spiritually deep. Mm-hmm. And when we started our relationship, we were doing cannabis gummies almost every time we had sex. And that was really profound and beautiful. And it's different when you don't. So to be that intimate and that profoundly deep and be sober has been a journey for me, for sure.
Yeah. You guys enjoying it so far?
Yes, and it can be triggering.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, we've only been together now for 8 months. So I think at the beginning of a relationship, you get to learn each other wants and desires and turn-ons, and it can get crunchy in moments.
Yeah.
When that honeymoon phase wears off and then you're in the, this is who I'm with because we live together. So, and it's beautiful and it's powerful. Every time there's a breakdown, then a breakthrough happens, and that breakthrough is potent.
Yeah.
It's really potent. And he's been married twice before me. So he's had, relationships, and he's never gone as deep intimately than he has with me, and vice versa. I think I've only had one other partner that we've gone this deep. So time is kind of relative. It's really about being intentional and how intentional you are in your partnership.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had some pretty potent experiences. And being intentional, I think, is really important. Like doing the relationship board meeting every week has been a game changer.
We just talked about that on our last episode.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. And, just speaking about intentionality, because I think we touch on that at least every episode, at least once. So I love that you're bringing this up, and it's not just coming from us.
Yeah. No, it's huge. It's like we've been doing really fun things. We went camping last weekend in the most beautiful location ever, mind blowing. And we went paddleboarding yesterday and went to the spa and got massages. And like, it's pretty magical when you plan out what you want to do together and like get creative with it and play around with the calendar and see what works and what doesn't work. And
yeah, exactly.
Scheduling sex too is really, it's interesting. It's interesting to schedule sex. It's good. I like it. It's different, but I think it brings that other level of intentionality and taking the substances out, because like with substances, it can, the sexy energy can be there and just flow. So,
right. But when you are scheduling it, setting the intentionality, like, how has that been? How does that, I know you said it's been great, but also like when you first started doing that, not just having the substances or just kind of being in the moment and spontaneous, but they're like, "Ooh, I'm feeling sexy now." But like, Oh, did we cut out? You're good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, you're good. I see you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Okay, good. Yeah, you're good.
So in scheduling it, was there any sort of crunchiness or awkwardness that came up at first when you were trying to like initiate, or was it just like, okay, cool, we're having sex tonight, or we're doing something together? Like,
Yeah, I think I'm going to be honest right now is like, it's been an interesting dance between him and I because I'm the one becoming the sex coach.
mm-hmm.
And so he's much more into a spiritual development reality, and sexual development really hasn't been a huge priority for him until he met me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a really much more of a submissive type of person when it comes to sexuality. And so it's been an interesting dance, and like he's wanting me to kind of like bring in the newness because I'm the sex coach, right?
Yeah.
And I'm also the submissive who's like,
But
okay,
so to take the lead.
yeah, exactly. So that's been an interesting journey, but we're working through it, and it's, getting clear on our desires and our wants. And then he's stepped into some pretty potent energies, and we've had a really good time together. And I think, me sharing certain aspects with him has helped him understand and release into his sexuality in a different way. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah. I love it.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
Because you get to have those experiences that you might not have otherwise had if it's more spontaneous and just kind of like go with the flow, when you're able to set the intention behind it and really connect.
Mm-hmm.
Have some amazing experiences. So
yeah, we had a fun experience the other night where we're like, okay, we had sexploration on the calendar. And we're like, what do we do? And I was like, let's like collect things from around the house that create different sensations in the body and just play with each. Because I was like, what do I want right now? And I was like, I want my body to be touched in interesting ways.
Yeah, I love that.
And so we got flowers and leaves, and I got like necklaces, and like I do dry brushing, and I got like a dry brushing brush, and like all these like normal household things.
Mm-hmm.
And we played with each other, and it was fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that you shared that. Hopefully our listeners are taking some pointers. You don't always have to go out and buy all these contraptions. Like, get creative with stuff around the house.
Mm-hmm. Roses are huge. Roses are great. Feathers are great.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And necklaces are really fun because you can chain necklaces. You can like have them go over the body, and then you can kind of use them a little bit more as a whip to have like kind of a little sting.
Have more weight to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pearls are fun too.
Yeah. I'm getting some ideas now. I'm like, I thought about a necklace. That's very creative. Is there any last minute tips or suggestions that you have for women that are wanting to be more present or explore some more?
Or like getting in their bodies more.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you teach people this when you work with them, but like breath work is huge. And I resist it every time. Like everything that's good for us, I'm always going to resist it, but you have to choose to do it.
Yeah.
It's the resistance game constantly. Breath work, getting a crystal wand, I highly recommend. I also recommend, I like the rose quartz ones because it's a self-love one. It depends on what you're energetically working through. I've been feeling the need to get a black onyx crystal one lately.
I've been leaning towards that one lately as well.
Yeah.
In my cart, I'm like, I just need to do it.
Yeah, right. I just actually got the squirt blanket from the Yoni Pleasure Palace. It's on its way.
Oh yes, we've had one. I think we got one in December. It's amazing. So
I'm excited. Anyways, I mean, I think one of the things that is so simple and yet so challenging too is just playing a really sexy song and dancing for yourself.
Yeah.
In the mirror. And if you feel okay with it, it could be too much for some women, but if you're okay with it and you want a little challenge, doing it in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it to a next level, do it naked in front of the mirror.
Ooh, great suggestions.
Yeah. Breath work, getting a crystal wand and doing a dance, and dancing not for performance or to look good, but to feel your body, just to feel you can feel the aches and pains. You can feel the pleasures. You can feel, your skin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Well, Jenny, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, currently I'm just on Instagram at the moment. I'm working on a website and all the other things, but we're just finishing up. So I'm Jenny Rose Heartsong, and it's Heartsong. A lot of people spell it HART for some reason. Oh. Jenny Rose Heartsong on Instagram. Okay. And that's
show notes too. So
so thank you. That was really fun.
Thank you for coming on here. It was amazing to get to talk with you. I'm so glad you were my first official interview. Lots of great stuff. And I have a feeling that we will be connecting and doing more of these.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next week.